whether it's your postcode, for example, which until April the 1st, you had to pay for if you wanted to run that service on a computer, now freely available. Whether it's the 1 in 25,000 map of the country, which until May the 1st, you couldn't even get a vector-based representation of that, one a machine could use. Now you can. These are crucial. We call them totemic information. It links other information together. And indeed, just knowing what your administrative boundary was, where your constituency was, what the unitary authority boundaries were, this is information that's crucial if you're going to do a whole range of data collection and aggregation. We've built prototypes that have captured the imagination. This was a thing we called the postcode data, postcode paper. We built this in a 3-day kind of hack fest at The Guardian before much of the data was made freely available. So it's not probably the case that this was an entirely above-the-board operation at the time. But what we were able to do was imagine if you were able to get all that local information about your local crime statistics, the allotments, the recycling rates, the local timetables for buses and trains. I'll come back to that. What a service that would be, what value to the individual citizen. We have believe we should extend this principle into local data. In fact, that's where much of the real value lives. It's all very well for central government to release this, but we believe that pushing it down to the local level is crucial. The local authorities, public bodies like police, health authorities, and so we've set up a local public data panel to do this. And what we're currently trying to do is recruit authorities to work with us to show the advantages of sharing data in this way. We recently had an open election data project where people were sharing in this open, integratable way local election data. We've got Lichfield, Hampshire, Sunderland, Redbridge, Kent, Brent, Warwickshire, organisations who are coming together to show what they're able to do with their own local open data. And when you share that and integrate it, you get more than the whole. So I've been speaking for just about 13, 14 minutes here. To do this, we are aware that you need to build the cookbook or the recipe book about how you publish information in this new way. Just as the original web, for people who were first introduced to it, the idea of a web server and writing web pages, this was stuff that was technically challenging. It was new. People would be hired in to help and advise. But now it's part of what we do, what we're aware of. And we will be moving the same set of simple principles, and they are fundamentally simple, into the data space over the course of the next few years. I will expect to see this happen. It's not work completed. I wouldn't like anybody to believe that because we have a data.gov.uk site and data sets there, that everybody is fully aware of what is to come and what the possibility could be, which is why we're so pleased to see the commitment in the new government to a new kind of data set, a new kind of transparency. So just keeping the momentum going here. We have local data exchange initiatives. We have local spending reports being published. We have a thing called the Local Information Partnership. So there is an appetite for connecting the information space up. It is surprising how much effort and treasure and ingenuity is wasted in having to pass the same information back and forth in so many different ways. This new set of standards is actually meant to get round the point that although you may feel that publishing your data in a PDF file or a Word file is publishing it, actually it's not much good to this project. The project of linking data and open data is about having it in these new open formats. And much of what we're doing at the moment is pulling together what was previously difficult to find or available under a difficult restrictive license. The activists and organizations and departments, private and public sector bodies who want to use this information very easily get put off doing this if there's any kind of license restriction. So we think that's a particularly important aspect of what we've been doing. Okay, and often, as we've seen in arguments from ClimateGate through to expenditure value, people are nervous about putting data out there. They believe that in some sense, if it hasn't been fully explained, people will leap to the wrong conclusion. You put data out there, people will leap to the right or wrong conclusion, you can bet. The point is, it's a disarming exercise to make it available. There's much left to do. I would say that we need commitments. We need a new kind of ethos to releasing data. An interesting aspect relating to freedom of information is, ask yourself the following test. If information were to be given out under a freedom of information request, why wouldn't you be publishing that anyway in a reusable, accessible form? I've talked about the local government issue. There are a whole range of agencies like DirectGov, NHS Choices, Where's My Nearest Service, where that data should also be being made available and using open standards. And perhaps crucially, this proactive release of data. The presumption should be that the public duty of the public body would be to publish non-personal public data unless there were very good reasons not to. We believe that we can develop the community from where we are. We think that we should be able now to support a whole range of activities to add value. We're seeing a lot of activity in what we call hyper-localism. People who would care about the information that relates to their local street, their local environment, their local council. We believe it brings together community networks in a new kind of way, a new set of opportunities. So, there are challenges though. It would be foolish to say not. They range from what we might think of as cultural, the natural tendency to hug your data, or we have released it anyway, but actually it's not in a form we can use, or some license difficulty. There are genuine issues in many organizations where they have large existing legacy information management systems, which it's hard to get the information out of. So how do we do that? That's the case that used to happen with our old document management systems before the web. Stuff was locked in there. Okay, always around confidentiality. How will it be interpreted? The quality, whether you're disrupting an existing workflow. We've heard most of the excuses in the last 9 months that Tim and I have been working. But we believe the opportunity is also being increasingly recognized. I'll look forward to talking more about this. I finally end off on the policy issues. There is an issue about training people to do this, but there's also an issue around embedding the principles that I've been talking about in all public bodies, and respecting when there will be issues around privacy. We have dealt with non-personal information. We know there are huge opportunities in view for people to do what you might think of as cautious sharing of information that does relate to the individual across services. But that is something that the individual citizen needs to be empowered to do, give permission to do. And we have to be very careful about how we strike a balance there. And to date, what we've been focusing on, as I say, is the non-personal aspect. And that is 20 minutes, I believe. Thank you very much. Thank you.